Hello everybody. Welcome one more Wednesday. This is Live Coding After Hours, Flutter Edition. I am Roman, Flutter GDE, lead organizer at GDG Lawrence, GDG mentor for the Northeast. Thank you so much for joining me one more night, one more session. This is episode number 8, where we've been developing a casual game completely from scratch. Just having a lot of fun, having a lot of people in attendance, giving me suggestions, and just being part of this journey and this experience. So again, I am opening up my cameras, giving you exclusive access to my development process here in my recording studio, where I've been putting together these amazing series all the way from the beginning, where I've been developing this casual game. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining. I see already in the house Randall, the OG Flutter GDE, always with his amazing suggestions and colorful comments, and always great suggestions for the people in attendance. So I just want to say thank you, everybody, for joining. Again, as a reminder, this is the application that we've been building. It's a casual game developed in Flutter. I'm going to be publishing it at the end for both iOS and Android. I am going to also, I'll see if I can put this, most of the code in there also available publicly for everybody to see, because I've been developing, again, right in front of your eyes, been developing this application. This is a very simple application that allows you to, it's like, again, a casual game about a little frog that just jumps across a pond. If you get to the end of the pond in the fastest, in the shortest amount of time, then you win. It's a pretty cool game. I developed it a couple of years ago, and now I'm revamping it and bringing it back to its full glory using Flutter, and I'm gonna deploy for both iOS and Android. So that is the application right there. Just wanted to remind everybody that if you tweet Flutter Live Coding with the tag Flutter Live Coding, at the end of the session, I'm going to be raffling one Flutter t-shirt, just like I've been doing in the past couple of sessions, where some of you have already received their t-shirts. So just wanted to say thank you so much for your attendance. And as a token of my appreciation, I'm going to raffle a Flutter t-shirt at the end of this session. So why don't we continue? Just wanted to say thank you. Randall, yeah, if you stay there, you're going to get that t-shirt, man. That's right. Just keep at it, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So let's proceed right away. This is the application again. We've been developing this application for the past 8 weeks. Can you believe it? We've been very consistent in developing this application for the past 8 weeks. We've implemented explicit animations, state management, a clean architecture, very simple architecture. We've been doing a lot of really cool things, custom widgets, really cool stuff. So let me show you where we left off last time. So I just wanted to recap again on what we left off last time. Remember, like we already have some, the game is also very playable up to this point. We still need to define a couple of things in the application, but at least you see that, it's very playable. You see the frog jumping, you see it reaching certain checkpoints. If you miss, for example, like remember, you have to swipe in the direction of the leaf, and then that's what makes the little frog jump. So just make sure. And now I've also added, and I see that you've noticed, a timer, just to remind the user, the player, to actually make a jump. Every 5 seconds, you will see that little alert, and then just says, make a move every 5 seconds. If you don't make a move, then it's going to, it's not like it's going to kick you out of the game, but it's going to keep, annoying you in how to do that. So you see, if you continue, that message doesn't pop up, so you continue. If you miss on the number of swipes, then you lose, and then you start all over, or you can just, start again the game, or just get out of the game completely, and then you can start all over. So this is pretty cool. I've also added, again, the collecting the points. That's something that I wasn't doing before. So if you see, every time you collect one bug, that's 100 points. And then if you see it here right next to the flag, when you see me swiping and collecting, I get 1 bug and 100 points. Every 5 bugs gives you 1 life. So for example, see, I have 1 bug, 2 bugs, 3 bugs, 4 bugs. I have 400 points right now. And then when you collect the 5th bug, it gives you 1 life, and then you can continue. So I've added a lot of the logic already behind the scenes because it was pretty easy. I just wanted to complete it. Just wanted to make sure that. Randall, can you hear me well? I'm gonna take a look at it. Yes, I'm gonna check the mic, making sure that everything is good. Okay, good. I wanted to make sure that this is good here. Awesome. Great. I hope you can hear me well. It may be thin. It's because I might not be directly speaking into the mic, but great feedback. Thank you so much. So let's continue. So as you see, I am collecting every $5. It gives you 1 life, and then I keep collecting bucks along the way. You see the points also incrementing. But if I lose, then I'm done. Everything gets reset back to the beginning, and then I can start again. Blah blah blah, and all of that. So that's exactly what we're going to be focusing on today. We're going to be doing sound, because now there's no feedback and there's nothing that tells you whether, let's say, like something more interactive, like a sound every time the frog jumps, or every time like the frog jumps, falls into the water, or whenever we get notified that we need to make a jump, we need to actually add those things in there, like kind of like add some sounds. I wanted to see, even maybe get feedback from people, like how you're actually doing sound in Flutter. How are you doing that? I'm going to show you how I'm doing it, because it should be really simple. I've implemented it in other apps. I'm even going to copy paste a little bit of the code that I've done in other apps on how to implement sounds, special effects, adding like that type of feedback in the application so that you make your applications a little bit more interactive. So let's try that. Great. Hey, Serhan, what's up, buddy? How you doing? Glad to have you here, buddy. Thank you so much for joining. By the way, I was just explaining to the folks here that I've been doing a little bit of refactoring. I actually added a couple other things, just making sure, bringing the game a little bit more closer. Tonight, we're going to be focused on sounds, like, special effects, sounds, audio to our application. So let's try that. And again, make sure to tweet Flutter Live Coding at the end of the session. I am going to be raffling 1 Flutter t-shirt. So make sure to tweet. Oh, you got a BSD. Oh my God, man. Well, on a Mac, does it happen? Like a blue screen of death, like something similar to that? That tells me you have a Windows. So yeah. Oh man, so sorry to hear that, buddy. I hope you're, hope you're back online and you're fully back on board with us. Thank you so much for joining one more time. So let's proceed, because we want to get a lot done in this session. Again, let's try to keep it decent, because I know that a couple of people, I've been getting feedback from people like, man, I'm falling asleep. It is meant to be live coding after hours. Too bad that if you guys have to go to sleep or you have to do that. But this is pretty much when I'm like the most productive. And you see my energy at this level. No, I'm not on anything. This is just me, that at this time I get really hyped up about like coding and doing a lot of cool things. Because of course, my wife is sleeping, my kid is sleeping. Now I have the chance to actually, do some coding. So let's do this, guys. Let's do this. Perfect. So let me start. Like I wanted to also show you something that I've been putting together. It's kind of like rough. It's pretty much like the schedule for the next sessions that I'm gonna be holding. So I'm planning on publishing this application to the to the App Store and both to the Google Play. So I'm planning on implementing a couple more sessions. The upcoming sessions every Wednesday. I'm planning today of adding sounds to the application. Then next week, I'm going to be doing shared preferences, and I'm going to show you a couple of things that I'm going to be doing there. 2 weeks from now, we're going to be hitting Firebase. We're going to do leaderboards. So we're going to be showing like how to connect to leaderboards, how people can, subscribe to that. They can push their scores and whatnot. Also, we're going to then, in the following week, October 19, we're going to try to prep the app for submission. We're going to set up the icons, the splash screens, make sure we can even do a little bit of testing just to make sure that we have everything, up and running in there. Then October 26th, we're going to hit the ground running immediately. Assuming that everything is going well, we're going to submit it to the Google Play in front of you live. So you're going to see me submitting it to the Google Play. With all the bells and whistles, I'm going to have everything ready, and then you're going to help me and see me how I submit it to the Google Play. And then November 2nd, I'm going to try to submit it to the Google App Store. After that, I'm going to probably have like some sort of, I still working out the details of the schedule, but then after that we'll probably hold like a big celebration where everybody downloads the application and starts giving me feedback. You play with it, you give me feedback, and then we start just celebrating the fact that the app is already live in all of the stores. So how about that? Let's try this rough schedule. So we're gonna start today adding sounds to the application, and we're gonna have 5 more sessions, and let's see if we can conclude the series. Other than that, again, you still know where to find me. You know where to find me. I'm on Twitter. I am on YouTube and Twitter, DR Coders. You can just follow me there. I'm on YouTube. You can see all the other recordings, the previous 7 videos on this series. So we're gonna do a lot of fun. So I hope that everybody joins, and then in the next couple of sessions, we're gonna be wrapping up this application. Great. I just wanted to put that out there, just letting everybody know, what you should be expecting out of this application, out of these sessions in the upcoming weeks, just so that you know. And actually, I did not mean to share this yet, but I'm gonna show you what I've been putting together. So this is what the share preferences and the, some of the screens that I'm still missing, I'm gonna be building. Like, this is gonna be whenever you do like help, or when you arrive for the first time into the application, we're gonna show like a little bit of a, like a onboarding type of deal. Like we're gonna show people, in an animated fashion, in a very cool way, like how to work, how to do this, how to play this game. Like, you swipe in the direction of the leaf, and then we're gonna make it very interactive, very engaging, so people know how to use the game immediately. Like, I'm gonna let them play, but at least I want to make sure that everybody knows in a very basic way, in a very cool way. We're gonna do like some onboarding, and then once the person says, like, for example, if the person says never show this again, this is going to be persistent in the share preferences unless you delete the application. But this is going to be persistent locally for the user, so that then they don't get presented with this onboarding screen anymore. So that's why I'm going to be doing share preferences next week. So stay tuned. I'm going to be building these screens using page like a page view. We're going to be using more custom widgets, more animations, share preferences. So we're going to be doing a lot of that. So stay tuned for next session where I'm gonna be doing share preferences. So we're gonna do a lot of cool things next week. So why don't we start? So we're gonna be adding sound, and a couple of the sounds that I have already. Again, this application has already been built. It was a little bit old. I developed it in Objective-C, and then I brought it over to iOS. I was starting to do it. I started to do it in Android back then, but then I'm like, no, let me just see when a cool framework comes along, so I can just do it with one single code base, and then I can make this application a multi-platform with one single code base. Flutter came along, and this is the right time where I'm revamping this application. So perfect. So I have some of the sound effects that I'm gonna use in my application. I already have them here, so let me just show you, and I hope you guys can hear the sounds. I'm gonna pause the music, and then let me see if you guys can hear. So for example, I'm gonna be using some of these sounds in the application itself. For example, let me try one of these. For example, check this out. Like, this sound is gonna be for the, that one is when I'm alerting the user that they need to make a move. So I'm gonna be using this one. It sounds like a clown horn pretty much. This one, let me see which one, what is this one? The chime up, I think this one I'm gonna use it for when we win. When we win. Oh, no, actually, this is the chime up is when we reach one of the checkpoints. When you reach one checkpoint, we want to play that sound. Okay, so I've reached a checkpoint. Let me continue. So like that. Let me try. The jump is, of course, when the frog jumps. We want to hear this sound right here. I hope you guys can hear it. It's like, so it's just like a little bit of a jump sound. And then you're going to see that, you're going to hear that. This is for when now the frog lands in the, like it jumps, and then when it lands, we want to play this sound. You kind of hear it, but it's like when it lands like on the leaf, like it's wet, I'm assuming, and then it does that. When we lose, like when we show the losing screen, we want to play this sound, for example. Let's try that. Let me bring it over. Let me play it. You hear that? That's gonna play when the user loses. They're gonna hear that. So we wanna play that sound. Also, we wanna do this because this is the ribbit sound, like the one for the frog, right? So every time the frog jumps or whenever we press a button, we wanna have that. We wanna do this. It's just that, like that. And the splash is when it falls in the water, like when you swipe in the wrong direction. We want to do this one. We want to do this guy right here. Like it falls in the water. That means like, oh, I'm losing. I lost. You get one life deducted. You're gonna get like a splash. Also, then when we win, then this is the last one. When we win, you're gonna hear this one, like, oh, we won the game. You're gonna hear that sound like that. Perfect. Okay, so let's add some of these sounds into the application. Let's bring back, some of the background music again. Perfect. So yes, so some people in back in the day, I actually used another type of format. I have it right here in my downloads. It's called a CAF, a CAF file. For some reason, like iOS back then, like it needed like a CAF file. I don't know if it still does. Like, whenever you're building like Objective-C applications, I could have used like MP3s, but CAF files were the required for audio back then. I'm talking about like, a few years ago. Now I'm just using MP3s. They're a little bit more, compressed. They're much better, more flexible to use. There's, a bunch of converters that you can get it as an MP3, and a bunch of, some of the sound effects are like an MP3. So I have these MP3 files. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import them into my application, and I'm going to add a folder. I don't have a folder for that yet. So I'm going to add a folder called sounds, right? And I'm going to drag my MP3 files into that folder, just like that. Perfect. See, simple as that. So I have my sounds in there. Now, the same way as I did with the assets, with the images, you need to add that to the pubspec.yaml so that the application knows where to pick up the sounds from, pretty much, right? So you have to go to your pubspec.yaml, and the same thing as you did before with the assets. You need to find a spot where the assets are. Like, right here, I'm just loading images, but now I can even just copy paste this guy, and I'm gonna call it, what am I calling it here? Just sounds, you see? So I'm just gonna say sounds. That means all my sounds will be inside of that folder. So let me just refer to those sounds like that from there. Perfect. So I'm like halfway there. I already have my sounds imported. I already know where to fetch them from. So which sound library are you guys using in Flutter? There's a bunch of those out there, but I've used one that is pretty simple. I don't know, and especially I've actually built applications that pull information from the network. But remember, these sounds are going to be embedded inside of the application. They're going to be part of the assets. So, for example, for like I developed like a mini podcast. So I'm actually pulling like MP3 files and streaming them down from a Google Cloud bucket, from a cloud storage bucket. But in this particular case, they're gonna come from inside of the assets. So I don't know what you guys are using out there. I am actually using there's a bunch of great packages out there. So I have this. So for example, like as audio, there's a bunch of like there's audio players, blah blah blah. There's a Flutter sound, audio video, audio session. There's a bunch. I use one for assets in particular. I think it's called like asset player, something like this. Let me see. I think this is the one that I use. Assets audio player. That's the one that I use. So assets audio player is gonna be playing your audio coming from your assets, and then it's gonna be cross-platform, and then you can just pull them from there. Hey, Dyer, how you doing, buddy? Hey, I just got the tracking number for your t-shirt, so it should be on your way, or either you're wearing it right now. So it should be on your way, buddy. Thank you so much for joining. This is Live Coding After Hours. If you wanna be lucky again, just make sure to tweet Flutter Live Coding. At the end of the session, I'm gonna be raffling another Flutter t-shirt. So I hope somebody else gets it, because I know there's a bunch of people already who have gotten it. But yeah, if Damien is here, no, the wheel of names is not rigged against you. So there you go. So make sure to tweet Flutter Live Coding. At the end of the session, I'm going to be raffling another Flutter t-shirt. Great. Thank you so much again. Let's continue. So I'm going to be using the Assets Audio Player package. Remember, I'm limiting the amount of packages that I'm using in this application. But I'm not going to reinvent the wheel for an audio package. So I'm going to be using this one. You forget to change it again? Oh, come on, man. I did it last time. I don't know if today. I don't know what happens, man. I'm just happy to, that you guys are here. Anyway, let's continue. So Assets Audio Player, which is the package that I'm going to be using for playing the assets, the audio assets in the folder that I just uploaded. So if you see here in my assets sounds, I have all the MP3s that I'm going to be playing. So let's add that package. Very simple. You know how to do it. Either you go here to the installing, and you know that you're going to do Flutter pub add assets audio player. So let's do that one. I'm just going to move this all out of the way because we don't need this anymore. So I'm just going to go to my terminal. I'm going to add one more. And then here I'm just going to say Flutter pub add assets audio player. So we're going to use that one. Oh, sorry, I'm not in the project. Sorry about that. Here we go. Let me Go to the project. You need to be in the root of the project in order to execute that command where there's the pub spec.yaml, of course. So now flutter pub add assets audio player, then it adds it. Great. So without me doing much stuff, it already added it. It added the latest version. So there it is, assets audio player. 3.0.5, that's the latest version. So we're gonna be playing the assets from the assets folder, imported into my assets. So I have all those MP3 files. I'm gonna be using them in the application. Cool. So now you say, next, how are you gonna play those sounds? Are you gonna be instantiating like an audio player, have it somewhere playing this audio? Am I gonna be feeding the path to each sound name, like the file name or something like that? You can do it any way you want. I'm going to show you the way that I've done it in other applications, which is pretty straightforward. And of course, you may have guessed it, I'm going to be using a service like that I'm going to be providing using provider as a state management. So I'm going to be holding that kind of like a provider, like it's going to be like a audio provider pretty much. So it's not going to be, for example, it's not gonna be like one that will rebuild a widget. It's just gonna be playing the sound. That's all it's gonna do. It's just a regular service that I'm gonna be providing, and then I'm going to invoke it anywhere. I can just import it and inject it into my application anywhere I need it, and then I'm gonna play the corresponding sound. Does it sound simple? I mean, leave in the comments, like, how would you do it? Making the stream with StreamYard, maybe it's that. Oh yeah, I'm using restream.io. So it could be that. Like it's messing up like the metadata of the video. I'll sue those people. No, I'm just kidding. I definitely thank them because it allows me to, get to you guys. So thank you very much. So yeah, I'll definitely look into that. Great. So now that I've added the audio player, now I'm ready to now start, creating the hooks for that. So I don't know how you guys do it. This is how I've done it. I haven't seen other people do it this way. This is kind of like my way of doing it, but I would love to get some feedback if you guys have better ways. Like, Roman, that's not efficient. Maybe you should do it like that. I would definitely take some feedback. Let me show you how I do it. The first thing that I do is like I've done in the past. I create some hooks and I create some constructs that allow me to define, for example, like a set of audio files or the names of those. So I create an enumeration for that. Just like I've created in the past, I'm going to go to my helpers and then I create, for example, one called for example, I'm going to create one file called skipping frog. For example, like I call it like skipping, let me spell it correctly, skipping frog sounds .dart, for example. And I'm just going to create an enum. And it's going to be called skipping frog sounds. See, I'm making it up as I go, but correct me if you see that this is not an efficient way to do it or anything. So I know already what my audio files will be. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to create an enumeration per sound file. That way I can refer to it programmatically based on the sounds that I have configured or that I have already defined in my enumeration. You can do it in multiple ways, but you can do that. So the merge Windows support for Flutter sound. Yes, Zach, thank you. And thank you again, Zach, for joining. There's great support now across the board on all platforms as far as like doing something that actually can work on all the platforms. That's totally correct. That is, and I definitely encourage you guys using it. So here now I'm going to define, for example, like all my sounds as an enum. Like every sound is going to be like an enumeration value. I'm going to do the chime up, the, jump, land, loser, ribbit, splash, and winning. For example, those are the sounds that I'm going to be supporting in my application pretty much. So I've defined them already as an enumeration of values, each one representing one of the sounds that I'm going to be playing in the application, right? Pretty simple, very simple. I just have that enumeration. Of course, that, I already have all the sounds imported and all of that. I already have my enumeration. I don't need much. This is pretty much like what I need. All I need to do now is, for example, like I either create like some sort of service that allows me to kind of like invoke those sounds by the enumeration value. That way I can do it programmatically and I can do it from far away. Sirhan, what do you got, my man? You say you use game template in my game. I was pretty easy with sound service like yours and also enumerations. Yes, that is correct. But that is actually, you know what? I encourage everybody to use the game template, and you used it in your game. So kudos to you for using the game template because it gives you a lot of construct. So yes, continue using that. remember, the reason why I'm doing this is so that you can see how those things were created and how you can even roll out your own. But totally recommend you guys using the casual game toolkit from Flutter. Definitely use it because it has a lot of constructs that you can use, and then you can immediately ramp up even quicker than I have. Because you can actually follow what Serhan did in his game. It was pretty good. He actually used the game template, and there was a lot of constructs and a lot of things in there that he was able to leverage to get his game to a very good state. So thank you Serhan, for that comment. That makes total sense. So yes, this is pretty much how they do it, and then you create like your own sounds and whatnot. Perfect. So again, as you always know, I like to create a clean separation of concerns. I like to create services, or like provided services, where I perform like all the business logic about, in this particular case, how to play a sound. So the way that I'm gonna go about it is, as you may have guessed, I'm gonna create one service called like I'm gonna go over here, go to my services, and I'm gonna create one file. I'm gonna call it audio service dot something like that. So I can say like audio service. It's gonna be a class called audio service. See, I'm not even gonna I'm gonna say audio service, and I'm not gonna be doing like change notifier or anything like that, because what I want to do is just play sound. I'm gonna have like one instance of the player. That's all I'm gonna do. See, I'm actually even optimizing the way that you play a sound. You don't have to instantiate a new player every time. You can even have one single instance, and then all you do is just pass the path of the sound file, and then it would be able to just play it for you. So I'm just gonna have that global service that you can inject anywhere using provider.auth audio service, and then you can just play the sound. Simple as that. So of course I'm gonna have an instance of the audio player. Of course I'm gonna call it, I think the way that the audio service is I think it's assets audio. There you go, assets audio player. What do we have? What do you think about Flame? Will you use it on the future? Yes, Dayan, I would use Flame on the future, and I would love to even do something where I import Flame. This is you if you want to be like a cheapskate like me. If you want to be like doing it the hard way. Flame makes it the easy way, and it's very efficient. It's because, let's say, if you want to build games with the minimum amount of packages and the simplest way, I'm just proving that you don't have to learn something with your existing Flutter knowledge. You can develop a game, even a simple one like this one with let's say advanced constructs. If you can use Flame, that is the way to go when you want to build like platformer games. You want to build games that definitely tap into the 60 frames per second of Flutter. Definitely go for Flame. Yes, me is because if you want to use Flame, for example, none of this, you see, Flame was not needed for building a game like this. Although you could have used Flame for doing a game like this, but at least I'm proving that you don't have to bring an additional library to just build a casual game. But great point. Like, thank you. Yes, now you put it correctly. It's vanilla. You call this like a vanilla game. Yeah, exactly. Call it a vanilla game. And Zach, so when you use that, the provider package, it's kind of like a wrapper around their inherited widgets, and all it does is just traverse the widget tree, and then it fetches one instance, like what is the closest reference of that type of object, and then it's just gonna give it to you. You can call it a singleton, but it's not a singleton per se, but it's just gonna give you that only one reference of that, because like if you're like in the camp of people say that's not a singleton because it doesn't have a private constructor, and it doesn't do this, and it doesn't do that, and it doesn't have a static way to return the instance. This one, you don't have that, but you could implement it like that as well. You can even create singletons in Flutter, and it would perform pretty much this very similar way. But at least this allows you to do like more cleaning up of resources, let's say disposing of services and whatnot, which actually does it better than just doing a singleton and rolling it on your own. But make no mistake, you can implement it as a singleton. If that's what's keeping you from developing your application, it's not gonna blow up. It's just that it's a little bit like frowned upon in the in the community, but you can still do it like that. But it's totally makes. Yes. Yeah, exactly, Zach. But yeah, I'm gonna be using provider right now, and you will see it. So I create an instance of the audio player, and thank you everybody for your comments. This is exactly why I wanted to do it like this. Very engaging and getting feedback from everybody. So I'm gonna do an assets audio player. It's just gonna be one instance. I'm just gonna call it, call it audio, because it's just gonna be one instance. So I'll do audio, and then I'm just gonna say assets audio player. Just create one instance. When this service gets injected, when it gets referenced for the first time, it's gonna be doing like lazy loading it. So once it just creates, and I'm gonna create one instance of my audio player. I only have one instance, and I'm gonna be using that to play my sounds. Simple as that. So I'm just gonna create like one entry point inside of this method, and I'm just gonna call it. Yes, exactly. Yes, but I mean, of course. Again, I keep telling people, if that is what's keeping you from building an application, don't put that as an excuse. Like, you see, if you don't want to use provider and you want to use a singleton, go ahead. But build something, build cool stuff, then learn from it, iterate and refactor. Other people will be like, no, I won't build it if it's not like this. Okay, that's you. But me, I'm like, let's go do it. It blows up. Okay, let's fix it. But at least I was able to build something, get feedback from people, put stuff out there, learn more about Flutter. So thank you, Zach. Again, thank you again for joining. Again, kudos to you, and a shout out to GTG Cloud Philly, for being in the house. Thank you so much. So let's continue. So I'm just gonna create a method. I'm gonna call it simple play sound. And of course, you guess already what I'm gonna be passing in there. I'm gonna be passing my skipping frog sound. So I'm gonna be passing an enumeration, like one value, whatever the sound is, I'm just gonna pass it, right? That's all I'm gonna be doing. And in my audio, right? I'm just gonna say audio. Very simple. So I'm just gonna refer to that, and I'm gonna say audio.open, and then I'm gonna be opening that audio. So I already have my instance of. Let me just comment it out right here. Just move that over to the side. And I know already where the sound is coming from, so I'm gonna be using an audio, and then I pass the path to the audio. I already know that they're coming from, let me see, so it's in assets, sounds, and then the name of the enumeration plus MP3 at the end. Simple as that. So I'm just gonna say assets, sounds, the name of the sound, the corresponding enum value, and then I'm just gonna say .mp3. So you see, I'm just saying play sound, play me this sound, and that's it. Be done with it. If you notice, for example, in this particular case, if you notice, this one has, like this particular method is actually a future. So you could wait until the sound plays. In this case, we're going to start it like that, and then we're going to do some improvements later on. But this is the simplest way you could go. Believe me, this is the simplest way you could go. Just create a service, instantiate one instance only of the audio player, and every time you want to play some sound, just pass the enumeration, just open an audio stream, pass the path, play it, done. That's it. When you do open, and then it's just gonna play it automatically, pretty much. Because if you look at the parameters, auto start, it does it already. Like if you go to the method here, open, default auto start is true. So immediately as soon as you say open, it's just gonna play it. So you don't have to say play or stop or anything. You could just say open, and it will automatically play it for you. Great. Philly representing. That's right. Thank you, Zach. I hope to see you in the North America Summit, in the North America Connect, November. So definitely hope to see you there. Let's continue. So now, see, I already have my service. Very simple, very straightforward. I don't have to do much. All I need to do now is import it in the main.dart, of course. For those of you who already know, I'm already using the provider package as my state management by default. And I'm just going to copy paste one of these providers out here. Very simple. I'm just going to come over, and I'm going to say audio service. Simple as that. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to say audio service, just inject it. Now we are ready to immediately start tackling this. You see how simple it was? All I did was, if this is your excuse for not building Flutter applications and not adding sound, I don't know what you're doing. Like, I'm not trying to, Flutter shame you or anything. I just wanted to show you simple ways to do it. You see how straightforward it was. Well, I haven't tested it yet, but let's give it a shot. I already have my sounds. I have to rebuild the application, of course. Let me kill it. because I'm also exporting. I'm actually importing new files. So I'm just gonna delete the whole thing. Let me rebuild it one more time. Flutter.run. And while this builds, I just wanted to remind everybody, if you tweet with the tag Flutter Live Coding, hashtag Flutter Live Coding, at the end of the session, I'm going to be raffling one Flutter t-shirt. So make sure to stay tuned. I'm going to be raffling that t-shirt at the end of the session. If you tweet Flutter Live Coding throughout this session, not yesterday, not tomorrow, right now during this session, otherwise it doesn't work. It won't work. So of course, I'm going to be fixing a couple of these things already, as you've seen. Let's see the application again, reloading. So we can start immediately, pulling it. So what would be like the first place where we want to hear the sound is, for example, like here in the, when the application loads, like here, the landing page, let's go there and let's see if the sounds are coming through. So I'm going to pause the background sound here, and then I'm going to go to, let's start consuming it. So let me go to my, this is the landing page right here. This is the one that you're seeing right now. You see, it says skipping frog, blah, blah, blah. As soon as it loads, I want to immediately load it. So once it builds, I can even do it right here. I can, of course, I need the context. I could have done it in the init state as well. So I could just come over here, and when it rebuilds, it's gonna call it once. So I'm gonna say audio service, and then as always, I'm gonna say provider.off audio service. And I'm just going to pass, as always, listen equals false, so that just explicitly, so that you know that I'm not listening for this, and I'm only going to be retrieving this service just to query the values or execute some methods. So let's try to execute our method called play sound. And remember what it takes. It just takes a skipping frog sound enumeration, and I'm going to pass the ribbit one, just like that. Let me try this. Again, this is an approach that I've used in other applications, so let's try it. Let's see if we can hear it. I can increase the volumes, but I think you guys should be able to hear it if I reload it. Let's see if you guys can hear it. There you go. You see, you just heard it right away. So if I reload it one more time, you will see it. As soon as the page comes in, you will hear it. There you go. That's it. Simple as that. You see, now you get sound right off the gate. It was very simple. A few lines of code. Only one instance. You were able to then leverage the power of Flutter, one additional package, very light package, so that you can implement your sound effects in your applications. So let's start adding other ways how you can bring more sound and more interactivity. For example, you remember that in the beginning of the session, I created that custom button called Skipping Frog button, right? So I created this button called Skipping Frog button that represents all of these buttons that have like that double state, like pressed state and unpressed state, right? So I want every single button in the application that is a skipping frog button to have the ribbit sound when I press it. How's that? Let's do it. So I'm gonna leverage some of these things that I've been using here. I'm going to go to that specific class called skipping frog button. Remember, that is a custom widget where I'm implementing that piece. This is also stateful widget. It's just the button that represents the two images, the two states, right? All I'm gonna do is when I press it right here in the on tap, that's all I'm gonna do. Very simple. So when I press the button, that's all I'm gonna do. I'm gonna create one instance and right up here. And then every time, of course, I need to import it. Let me import the provider and import the audio service. And all I'm gonna do is when I press the button, every time I press in my gesture detector, because remember, I'm interpreting the on tap, all I'm gonna do is just, I'm gonna play it. Simple as that. Let me now import the package. You could put it anywhere, but in this particular case, I just wanna make sure that every time I press the button, it plays the sound. Let's try it. So I'm gonna rebuild. And now you hear it for the first time, and then you should hear it every time you press the button. There it is. There it is. There it is. Everywhere you click, you're gonna hear it. There it is. There it is. Everywhere. Now you get it everywhere. And you see how efficient it is? It's only one single instance. that is maintained in memory in that a global state. So it's at the root of the application, and then I can just tap into it, play the sound. It's only one single instance. I can just refer to the path to that sound, and then it just plays it. Very simple. There you go. There you go. You see? Every time you go, you do that. I'm going to be adding to the options. Actually, I'll wait to say muted, because it may be annoying for certain people. So I want to be, cautious and, be mindful that some people will be like, man, this is annoying me. Make it muted because I'm at work playing this game. So give me an option so I can mute it without turning the volume down, for example. But now every button does that pretty much. There it is. Perfect. Now let's continue adding it to some of the other components. For example, there were other places in the application where I wanted to add it. For example, when I click on start, every time there is a message like this, I want to do it. So let me rebuild the application. Sorry about that. So every time I go inside of the when I'm in the game, every time there is an alert for me to, let's say, play, every time I jump, I want to perform a sound. When I land, I want it to make a sound. When I lose, I want it to make a sound. When I completely lose, I want it to play a sound as well. You see, everywhere where I press that button, you're gonna hear that sound. So let's start with some of the aspects in the game service where we can actually add some of that functionality. So let's start with the swiping gesture service, where I actually want to do, for example, every time you swipe, you want to do that. So every time I swipe, meaning I jump and then I land, I want to play the sound of jumping and then landing. Let's try that. So it's gonna be pretty straightforward. It's the same thing that I did. I'm just gonna go back to one of those services, right? To the swiping gesture service. Here it is. This is the one that, remember, this is the one that captures the swiping. And of course, the same way that I have other services in here, I'm just gonna say audio service. There you go. And I'm going to initialize it right here as well. So I'm going to say audio service. Simple. I'm just initializing my audio service. And what I'll do is, remember, this is when I need to put it here. When the user swipes in the correct direction of the leaf, then we perform, remember, this if, right? So if we swipe in the correct direction, when the animation is done, right here, when the user like swipes and then the animation is done, like the frog like lands, that's where I want to do like the landing. But when I start swiping, that is when I want to then start playing the jumping one, right? So let's do it. So before I jump, meaning right here, before I perform the jump, I want to play a sound. So I'm gonna say audio service, play sound, and I'm gonna say skipping frog sounds dot jump, right? Simple as that. Now, when the animation of the jumping is done, meaning when he finishes animating, then I want to say, okay, so now do the landing one. I think I already have it and I called it land. That's it. And you see how cool it is? I'm able to play, using the same instance, play multiple sounds. But I know that some of you already caught the issue that I haven't solved, that I will be solving it later. I know some of you may have already caught it. Kadeem, how you doing, buddy? This is some pretty cool stuff. Yes, that's right. Kadeem, welcome to Flutter. This is the reason why we create this type of sessions, to welcome folks like you who are beginning into their journey in Flutter. You have folks like Randall in the house, like Zach in the house, who are really knowledgeable in their fields, and they're also very knowledgeable in Flutter. We could all help you out. Sirhan, he is also developing a game. Diern, he's a hardcore gamer, and also he does coding. So we got a lot for everybody here. So Kadeem, welcome to this session. This is Flutter live coding after hours, Flutter edition. Make sure to tweet with the hashtag Flutter live coding so that you can get a Flutter t-shirt at the end of the session. So make sure to tweet Flutter live coding. At the end of the session, I'm going to be raffling a Flutter t-shirt. You might be a lucky person. So let's do that. Let's continue. So after that, now let's see if the sounds is playing. So you may have caught the issue already. I'm going to let you guess it. You can drop it in the chat if you have an issue, if you know what the issue is. I'm going to show you. Let me rebuild the application. Now when we swipe, you'll see the jump. And then when I land, you'll hear the landing. So let's try start. And I jump. There you go. Perfect. Perfect. It's all good. It's all good. You see, we need the sound for when it pops in, right? So when the splash is when we lose, like when we know that we're swiping in the wrong direction, we want that. So let's add that. So it's the same thing. So we're gonna be just playing the sound when it's a checkpoint. We're gonna do the chime up, and when we lose, we're gonna do the one like, okay, I'm losing a life. I fell in the water. Let's do that. So, for example, when it contains a bug, also I want to do like one for that. So when I know that I'm eating a bug, I want to do that. But let's take care of that in a minute. Or actually, if it contains a bug but I'm eating it, we have to do that. Let's do if it's a checkpoint. I'm gonna just leverage the same call that I have here, and if it's a checkpoint, I'm gonna say you've reached the checkpoint with a chime sound, right? With this sound, chime up, right? You play the sound because I've already reached the checkpoint. Else, when the splash, meaning I swipe in the wrong direction, I want to also play the one where I fall in the water, just like that. You see, one single service, one single instance. Leveraging the capability so that I can play sounds in this application. So let's try it again. I'm gonna hit start. I'm gonna swipe. I'll swipe in the wrong direction. You hear the splash? Now there's no sound. We're gonna play that in a minute, but let's start again. I'm gonna start the application. Swiping, all good. Let's get to a checkpoint. Let's see if the checkpoint sound is actually being added. So let me swipe. Also, when we eat a bug, we want to do that also. And then we didn't hear the checkpoint one. So we need to make sure that we are doing the correct one in there. So I said, if it's a checkpoint, play the chime up sound. So let me make sure that, what's going on with that one. If I do have it, I didn't see any issues in the, let me see. I didn't see any issues in the, so the sounds, this is the one that I want to play, the chime up, right? Let me make sure, if I play it, this is the one right here. Let me make sure that it plays well. Let me do that. So we want to hear that one. I think I know what the issue was, but I'm going to show you. I think you may have already caught it, but let me show you what the issue is. I'm going to go again to the next checkpoint. You may have already caught what the issue is. I'm going to show you what the issue is. I'm going to be slow. I'm going to wait a little. Now I'm going to do it. You see, it's not playing. Why? Because there's one sound currently going on. It doesn't let me play that sound. You need to now incorporate the way that you can allow more than one simultaneous sound going on in your application. In this particular case, you can only play one at a time. You have to wait until it finishes, then you can play the next one. Did you guys? Yes, there you go. Zach, you caught it. It's kind of like a race condition. You play it, but then the other one kind of like overrode it, pretty much. Yeah. So it like overrode it. That's exactly what it was. So you caught it. There it is. We're going to solve that issue in a minute, but definitely that is the way that we're going to solve it. So we're going to make sure that either we capture one sound, we let it finish, we have like multiple instances, but also we need to make sure to dispose of those instances appropriately so that we can support the correct amount of instances so that we don't overload the system or cause a Stack Overflow or something like that, because we're creating too many instances of sounds. We want to make this simple and very straightforward. Very good. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Let's add a couple of those other sounds that I wanted to show you. For example, and then we're going to tackle the issue where we want to say, we want to support more than one sound, as opposed to just one at a time. You can swipe, you only play one, you see? When we make the move, also we want to do that. We want to say, are you, make sure that you need to, make a move. When that pops up, we definitely want to show that sound as well. So make sure that we do like the, like that sound pretty much. So right here in the star swipe reminder, we're gonna just also copy paste that. This is the one that performs a reminder, which is, I think this is the alert. I think this one. Let's rebuild it again and let's take a look one more time. So every time I want to do something, an action, I want to remind the user. Let's see. 5 seconds. Okay, see, is because of that. So it's not allowing that to play. So you want to make sure that you want to hear those sounds, and it's only playing, for example, like whenever you allow that sound to just play. You see that one now is when it played. You see, so you need to make sure. You see, now it's playing every time. You see, there you go. You see, that's what I'm saying. Like, you need to make sure that you do it appropriately so that you can actually leverage the package, the audio package, and then you play your sounds correctly. So let's finish up again a couple of those other sounds that I wanted to show you. For example, the one on the losing page, for example, because you still want to just play it normally in there. So let's go back to the losing page right here, and then I'm gonna say, for example, when I lose, I'm gonna have another instance of service. So I'm gonna do the audio service in here as well. I'm just gonna do audio service. I can even do the same thing in here. Let me import my audio service. And in the audio service, which is this one right here, all I'm gonna do is just play the sound of when we're losing. That's all we're gonna do here. So I'm just gonna say audio service.play sound, skipping frog sounds, and then I'm gonna say loser. Just play the sound and then be done with it. So let me save it. Let me restart the application. Sorry about that. Let me run it again. So again, yes, you already caught what the issue was. That is exactly what the issue is. And remember when I told you that the audio player, when you do open, it actually returns a future. So you either await on that future, because it's the proper way to let the sound finish. Otherwise, then you're gonna hold, you're not gonna dispose of it appropriately. You're not gonna let the sound finish appropriately. So those are the things that I wanted to let you know, that those are the issues that may come up if you don't pay attention to those things, right? So you just need to make sure that you make sure that you handle it appropriately. Make sure that you're doing it correctly. So let's go back again to the the audio service. And remember, I said this is the simplest way that you can do it if you know that you're only going to be playing one sound, just in a very simple way. But remember, because this open method returns a future, you want to async it. Async and await, which is pretty much like a syntactic sugar around waiting for the sound to finish and then kind of like proceeding to the next execution. In this particular case, we were not waiting, we were just letting it run, but we need to make sure that let the sound play out, then you can just wait on it, let it finish play, because I have another sound that I want to incorporate and I want to add it. Otherwise, if another one comes in, I'm going to override it, but at least the first one, I waited until it finished. So let's try it again. All I did was decorate the method with the async keyword, and the one that returns the future, you await on it. So this is pretty much the async and await keywords being used in Flutter as syntactic sugar around futures, and like waiting for something that takes a little bit to execute. So let me save all. I'm going to reload the application one more time, and now let's try it this time, and then you will see it. I'm going to start playing. Let me swipe. All good. So far, it's good. I'm collecting bugs along the way. You're hearing the sounds. I'm gonna swipe, and then you should have heard the sound, but that's okay. We're gonna now solve that issue so that you can actually hear the sound when you have like multiple type of sounds being executed. So let's try that. So after you do this, for example, in this particular way, because I have like the audio, like I have my audio right here, I open it and then I do like I await on it. Perfect. It's all good. But now what I'm actually gonna do is I am going to, if there's, for example, like I'm going to provide like some sort of flag in here that tells me I want to wait for that sound. If I want to wait for that sound, I am actually going to like add it to a collection, because there's going to be more than one sound that I want to play simultaneously, right? So let me do the, the swiping in the wrong direction, right? And then you just wanted to hear that sound at the end. That's all you wanted to do. But you see, some sounds, we just want to let it run. But then if there's another one coming in, I don't mind if the other sound like trumps it over or like just stumps over it. But sometimes I want to keep simultaneous sounds running, in parallel. How do you do that? How would you do that? Randall, you say if you're immediately returning the result of your await, it's still a future to the caller. Yes, that is correct. But that's why I want to just let it wait until it finishes, as opposed to me returning like a future out of this. I am still holding on to this and say, just let it play out. And then if you want, for example, you can even do the long way of waiting for a future, which is actually tacking on the .then, which is kind of like, again, not as cool and syntactic sugar, like I said, on how to like go about doing something like this. But yes, it makes sense. Only makes a difference in those. But for example, in this particular case, if you want to, because I could have done this, I could have set like, future and return a future out of this and just say return audio.open because it returns a future. If, for example, depending on the type of future that this returns, you could have done that. But you see, it's just a void. It's a future of void, but you could also await on it because you say, like, I just want to wait for its execution. But in this particular case, I'm just going to let it play out, wait for it, and then that's it. Perfect. But that's a very, very good observation, Randall. So the way that I've tackled this in the past and that I wanted to show you here as well is I've actually created one instance of the audio player when there's only one type of sound, only one sound that I want to play. But when I have more than one sound that I want to play, or I can even leverage that same flag, the way that I've done it is like this. So check this out. So I create like first of all, I create like a list of these type of players so that I can have like this, the sounds play out. And then I just create an instance like an instance on the fly, and then at the end I just dispose of it really quick. So check this out. So the way that I've done it is like this. So I just create like an audio, like a list of audio players, for example, and I just call it asset audios, for example. And all I do is just like, I just make it instantiated as a list of audios, right? Check this out. I create a flag that I provide as a optional parameter, as an optional name parameter. Again, I say just bool, wait for sound. I call it like that. I can say like wait for sound to finish. And then by default, it's going to be false. So that way I don't have to pass it all the time. So by default, it will be false. You see that I still have like my async and await. That's pretty cool. That's all good. But then, for example, in my logic, all I'm going to say is that if this is true, if I truly want to wait for the sound to finish, what I do is I create a audio player on the fly. So I just say, let's say asset audio. We just call it, like that. I create an asset audio player, right? I said assets audio player. I immediately load it. I add it to the collection, or I can just do, I can do asset audio.open. In this particular case, check this out. So I'm just going to say the same thing as this one. I'm going to be loading that audio right there, right? And I can the same way wait for it and remove it from the collection, but I'm going to show you the other way that you can do it. Remember, I'm here to give you multiple ways in which you can do it. I'm not the type of person that says like, if you don't do it like this, don't publish it. No, you can do it in multiple ways. There are multiple ways to do it. There are more appropriate ways of doing it, but this is pretty much the same thing, but you don't have to do like the async and await if you're not a fan of it, or you're more like, I definitely want to know when this is finishing. So the open method out of the audio has a couple of methods that you can actually call. For example, there's this particular one that says when complete. So that means when this future completes, which is pretty much what we were doing before. So we're just waiting for it to complete, and then it proceeds to the next, let's say, execution. In this case, you could either do the then, which is pretty much the same as the when complete, because when it completes is when the future completes. But then in this particular case, the complete, if you see it, the complete is when it completes, whether it's with a value or with an error. The then you can actually capture whether succeeds with a with a positive, with a success, pretty much. But if I use the when complete, for example, here, all I'm gonna say is play the audio, right? Play the audio, add it to the collection, add it to my asset audios. And then I'll do asset.audio, right? And then when the audio finishes, I just remove myself pretty much out of the collection. So I can do asset audios.remove asset audio. So it's like I wait for myself to finish. I clean myself up after that. and then you can allow like simultaneous, because they're just going to be playing, but then when they're done finishing, and you can have even a couple of sounds playing simultaneously, but each one in its own instance. But then when they're done, I don't need to hold on to them anymore. I can just dispose of them right away. I can just remove them out of the collection. Else, then I will say, okay, this is just one single sound, simple sound. Let's just say else, then I just play the same instance. So I'm just going to continue with my original instance. I don't have to keep a bunch of other instances lying around. Perfect. So now if I save this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to a couple of those other spots where I actually did it. Remember, like in the swiping gesture, I wanted to wait for example, the jump to finish. I wanted to, for example, I also wanted the landing to wait until it finishes. I also wanted to wait for the chime up to finish. So some of those, so that they can actually execute in parallel. So let's try that. So I'm gonna save. Let me make sure that, yes, okay, perfect. We have the sounds in here. I'm gonna go to that service. And let me just remind you again, make sure to tweet. Make sure to tweet Flutter Live Coding at the end of the session. In just a few minutes, I'm gonna be raffling that Flutter t-shirt. So just reminding you of that, make sure to do so. So once I'm here, I'm gonna go to the jump, for example. I wanna say jump, wait until it finishes, because I want other sounds to come in between. So I'm just gonna feed the wait sound to finish equals true. Now it's gonna be instantiated as a separate audio player instance. Wait until it finishes, removes itself. Same thing on the landing. So I'm just gonna say wait for sound to finish equals true, and then, or I can just, I could have passed another parameter, but I wanted to keep it like, following the nomenclature and the way that Flutter, kind of does things. Very readable APIs, and the methods are very, very well defined. Even though I suck at naming parameters, but at least, I'm following the convention to make it look like more, like this. So check this out. So now in the splash, I want to do the same thing, because I like to create my APIs, properties are very well readable. The method defines itself pretty much, like that. Sirhan, you say you can have 2 asset audio player instances in the list. Use them interchangeably. You can do that too. You can definitely do that. Yes. Oh, that's how they do it in the template? Oh, that's pretty good. That's a good way to, yeah. You can keep it interchangeably. Use one, use the other. When one finishes, do the other. That's another way to do it. Here, I'm doing a little bit more management, but it's, again, like I said, another alternative, but great suggestion. I encourage everybody to use the casual games kit template if you're developing your games. If you want to go the hardcore route like me, building everything, just that at least I can show you how to do it, you could go this route, but the game template pretty much does it like that. That's a good way to mention it. Thank you, Sirhan, for the point. So now the splash, I also wanna do that. Okay, I already did it. When the game is over, I'm already doing it over there. When the splash, here, this one is the alert. I want to make sure that the alert, okay, the star swipe reminder is the alert. Okay, perfect. Now let's see if, for example, do I want to also wait for that? Yes, I also want to wait for this too. So I'll do wait for sound to finish equals true. I want to wait for that, because it can come in between while another sound is happening, right? I did that on the, let me see, on the chime up. I did on the landing and all the other ones. There are some ones that I don't need it to wait. For example, in the losing page, I don't need to wait for this. This is the only one. That's all good. So let's rebuild the application. Let's see what it looks like. I want to make sure that everything, okay, starting. Let's do that. There it is. Perfect. See, this one is sounding, okay, perfect. But when it's swiping, it's also playing the sound. So I need to make sure to fix that. In the swiping gesture, I am doing right here. If it's a checkpoint, I'm saying, I'm sorry, no, this guy right here, star swipe reminder. I don't want this here all the time. So I'm going to remove it for a minute. I am going to reload the application, and only when that comes on, when that happens, is that I want to do it. But I don't want to do it. Actually, I don't want to do it outside. I want to do it inside when the reminder happens. I was gonna put it somewhere else, but I think I want to keep it inside, not every time the reminder gets reset. So it's only when it gets called. Sorry about that. I think I just had it in the wrong line. So let's start again. So I hit start. I swipe. Okay. I see a couple of sounds. I see the splash coming in between, and it's playing. Look, even if I finish, I can continue, and you hear the sounds in parallel, kind of. Now check this out. You see, now the checkpoint came along, and the jumping, this one is also coming along. The jumping came on, but it didn't matter because I was able to play the other one. But they're cleaning themselves up as they're playing. See, a couple of sounds can happen at the same time. So, and I don't mind. I want that. Look, I'm jumping, but if I fall, I want to continue jumping, and I want to continue hearing those sounds. So you see, very simple. Sirhan, that was a very good idea. Just keeping two references. If that's the way that they do it, perfect. This is another way to do it. If you want more than one sound and you truly want to, leverage, you see, like the checkpoint is sounding, it's all good. Now I'm gonna lose on purpose. I'm just gonna keep splashing. I'm gonna go no. You see, all those sounds happening simultaneously, and they're all happening all good. No problem. I continue. Look, all good. If I leave it for 5 seconds without me playing, you should be able to hear it. There you go. I continue, and you see the sounds simultaneously running, cleaning themselves up, and you can have that coordination. So I hope you guys picked up a thing or two from here. Love the suggestions that you guys are providing in here, but this is another way that you want to implement it. If you want to go like the extra mile in doing something else for your sounds in your applications. Pretty cool. Let me see what other sounds I'm not taking care of. Perfect. So I think, see, the checkpoint is reached. Let me pause it again so you guys can hear it. All good. I'm swiping. See, even while the checkpoint chime was sounding, you can hear it. You can still hear. See, the chime, the alert sounds, the swiping, all that. See, simultaneously. That's what I wanted. Now, if I lose on purpose, perfect. And then I can just come back out, start again, or lose, continue, all of that. Perfect. There you go. Now I am going to reload the application, of course, and then I'm all good. So you see, very simple, in a very simple way, I was able to achieve sound in this application. You can see all those cool things, all the ways that you can do it. But I just wanted to show you one side of the coin. Like the same way that you guys have suggested on in here, that's the way to go about it, right? You want to make sure that you can do either one instance, multiple instances. If you're only playing one sound, like a background sound, you can just have one instance. You're all good. In my particular case, I wanted to keep more than one. Not just two, not just three, not just four, an infinite number, but at least they clean themselves up after they're finished playing. So if you do it like that, the way that I did it, you can achieve something like that. So I just wanted to stop it right here. I think we did a lot of really cool things. I love the way that we implemented this. You can go more, much further than this. I'm going to continue adding some of the other sounds in other places where I'm doing it. But at least I wanted to stop it right here. I want to just give you a chance, 1 more minute, so that you can tweet with the hashtag Flutter Live Coding. Hashtag Flutter Live Coding for the chance to win a Flutter t-shirt right about in 1 minute. So I'm going to give you 1 more minute for all of you. I just wanted to say thank you again for joining. You guys have been amazing. Love everybody, everybody's attention, suggestions. Again, the way that you're doing it and suggestions on how to do it much better. But for example, the way that I accomplished it, again, very simple. And you saw how no excuses, no BS. I was able to add sound to my application without saying, oh, but if I don't do it in this way, I don't publish a Flutter application. I just did it, and I'm going to publish this very soon, right in front of your eyes. What's your excuse? Not mine, because I already implemented audio in my application. Very simple, very straightforward. Thank you, everybody, for your suggestions. Now I'm going to run the raffle, and let's see who has tweeted Flutter Live Coding throughout this session. Let's see how you fare. So again, like I said, just want to say thank you, everybody, for joining. This was amazing. I'm going to do my usual wheel of names. and I'm going to be pulling the values from the Twitter users. Randall, we should chat offline about the point I was making earlier, making how they zoom. Yeah, sure, definitely. I love, of course, to be, speaking with you guys at one Flutter Hump Day, of course. So I'm gonna do Flutter live coding. So let me do this. So I'll do Flutter live coding. Let's try this. And I'm going to, there we go. So we have a few folks, except I'm not in there. Let's try that. Got it. So now I'm going to just, there's a few folks. I just want to say good luck, everybody. I'm going to be raffling a Flutter t-shirt. I'm going to be pinging you offline so that you can give me all your details so I can ship it to you. It's going to be a very cool Flutter t-shirt. Some of you have already gotten it. So good luck to all of you right now. So I'm going to spin the wheel. And let's see who is the lucky one. You're crossing fingers. There you go. And Randall, almost you, but it's not you. It's Jedi Pixels. Jedi Pixels. Who are you? Are you online right now? Can you answer? Jedi Pixels, you are the lucky winner of a Flutter t-shirt. Ping me offline. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. Let's talk. I'm going to get your details and I'm going to ship you a Flutter t-shirt right to your house. I hope you can also tweet when all of you guys receive your t-shirts. Make sure to tweet with your t-shirt on, or line somewhere, just to make sure that I know that you received it and that you love it. So who is it? Oh, by one. Jedi Pixels, if you're here, congratulations to you. That's it. Great. Awesome. Thank you. Great. So that's about it for tonight. Just wanted to say thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Thank you, all of you, as always. The usual suspects are here, always, loyal to this great sessions. Just want to say thank you. Thank you very much. Have a great night. Thank you so much for joining. See you on the next one. We're going to continue with some other aspects of these sessions. We're going to be implementing the rest of the application. Just make sure to, again, follow me on Twitter. Make sure to watch the previous videos. And yeah, keep continuing contributing to these sessions, giving your comments, better ways on how to do things, how to approach it in a better way. So make sure to, again, follow me on Twitter at @DearCoders and continue supporting this session. Thank you so much. Have a great night. See you on the next one. Take care, guys.